light for you in dark places when all other lights go out.
Hey guys, this is DCHL Devin here.
And this is DCHL Walker.
And welcome to another episode of A Light in the Dark. And these are our question and answer videos where you guys post questions in the comment section below or on our Facebook page, and we answer them for you as much detail as we can. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the questions from last video.
Yeah.
So our first question is from Patrick Buermeyer. He says, that's really interesting that Devin isn't a huge Tolkien buff. I like gaming, but Lord of the Rings was only a mini game I could get excited about. So I guess more of a comment than actually a question. But yeah, last video I actually said that I am, I guess, a very casual gamer, a casual Tolkien fan, I guess you can call it.
He's not true hardcore Tolkien.
No, I really love the world, though, to be honest with you. I do like it a lot. I just haven't read all the backstory and stuff like that. So, but yeah, this is an interesting note. The next question from Stephen Gill, he asks, he's thinking about using an Army of the Dead in the Fiefdoms warband. What are your opinions of them? He likes the models, but they seem expensive, and he was thinking of using them as flank protection rather than a full band of them. So, all right, what do you think about the Men of the Dead?
So the Men of the Dead are very situational, sadly, because they fight against the courage. So some things fighting against like goblins, trolls, things with low courage, they really excel. Problem is sometimes you fight a lot of things with higher courage, and so that doesn't help out. And if your opponent has a war horn, guess what? That raises their courage, so it makes them less useful. So I would, like you were talking about, I would pepper them in. I know Lord of the Brown Ring commented on there, and he said that their usefulness is sketchy at best. They never really earn their points in. I would throw in like maybe up to 4 of them. Do what you said, either as a flank protectors, or you square them off against the trolls or anything else like that. The big monsters with a low courage. They would work great then because they would beat them back. So.
I actually like to think of them as flanking protectors too, mostly in the fact that their defense 8 is just kind of hard to beat through. I would think of them less as models that are meant to kill anything and more of just a buffer zone. Wounding courage is situational at best. You'll often find that courage fluctuates just as much as defense really does. So it's not so much an advantage, so much as different. And so I agree with Walker. I think, yeah, definitely a flanking troop, just a couple of them. And this is why I don't mind that the King of the Dead is the only dead hero to lead.
Can they have spears? Like
Yes, they actually can.
That might be actually really good. Put them with spears.
Yeah, you can give them spears. I hesitate to give them only spears because giving them that shield is what bumps them to that healthy defense 8. Defense 7 is really good, but defense 8 is really, really good. I mean, that's awesome.
They just might be more advantageous with a spear.
I mean, I guess you can put them
shield.
Behind and utilize the fight value of someone else who's in front, but I still think you're losing out on that courage.
Plus they cost terror.
The defense.
The defense and the terror. I mean, they're already defense 7, but the 8 is just nasty. So, I mean, it's really up to you on how you want to use them. I might do two on each side, one with a shield, one with a spear. That'd be pretty good.
All right. I mean, yeah, I can easily see.
Not many.
Yeah,
not a whole
really
war
don't
band.
want too many of them.
They're just too expensive.
All right. So our next question is from Lord of the Brown Ring.
It's a long.
Now, he said a long paragraph, but I'll go ahead and shorten it down to this. He said, basically, he got to thinking, have you guys, how would you rate the following models? The Watcher in the Water, a Cave Drake, and a Dweller in the Dark. He rarely sees these used. He's used the Watcher before and decimated some punk elves. And the Cave Drake did nothing at all for him. But basically, he's just wondering our opinion on those models.
So I'm pulling up the rules right now.
So I actually know these rules pretty well as a player who deals with them a lot.
That's because you play with them.
Yeah.
So whenever we're playing, all of a sudden it's like, I was playing him one time and he took a goblin for us, and I was playing with my hunter orcs, and he had less models than me. I'm like, where's all your models? You have goblins. Where are all they? And all of a
Like,
sudden,
I'm good.
he's like, I'm good. Turn like 3 rolls around. He's like, Watcher. And I'm like, what the?
So, although you can have the Watcher in your list, I often like to kind of hide him a bit. I mean, technically I have to expose my list, right? So at a tournament I expose it. But you'll find after a couple turns, if you just kind of put the Watcher down, don't pull him out or anything, just keep him in your box, whatever, the player will forget that the Watcher is there. He will always forget. I mean, hands down, always forget. So it's after a couple turns you want to just wait, and I'd say that's the best time to use the Watcher. And if you manage to get that element of surprise, I say the Watcher's actually pretty good. The thing about the Watcher is he's so many points that he's only good in a Goblin force or some kind of hoarding force. So it really needs to work well with your list. I would highly recommend hoarding out goblins and making sure your numbers are big enough where you can really hold out. Then, as soon as battle lines meet, you can drop the Watcher right behind him.
Take out the banners, the shamans.
I mean, no, geez, he causes absolute chaotic disruption. I mean, he knocks models away. He
shooting attacks that grabs them with his tentacles and pulls them in.
Absolutely,
he's a beast.
I actually think the Watcher is really good. It's just really going to depend on your list. He does very well for me. You definitely can't overestimate him. Overestimate him. Basically, don't send him out there by himself to deal with like a horde. Yes, he has 6 attacks, I'll fight 6. But you lose one fight, and it's going to go downhill
from
quick
there.
Because, I mean, he loses attacks based on his wounds. Yeah, so, I mean, he definitely can go down pretty quickly. As far as the 1 point of might he has, I usually use it to bump a 2 into a 3 when trying to deploy him. So that way only a 1 is a failure. Other than that, yeah, I like him. The other model I've played is a Cave Drake.
Yeah, Cave Drake.
Have you ever played a Cave Drake, Walker?
No. I played against him.
Nah, what did you think about it?
Don't corner them.
So actually, there's a way you can actually corner yourself. One trick that a lot of players will use is to take a random goblin, and when you charge him into combat, you put the goblin, like 2 goblins back behind him, or actually just 1 is fine. Because the rules for making way says you may make way, so you can choose not to. And if you do that, you actually trap yourself and purposely lash out in all these attacks. It'll give you this like 1-inch strength 4 area effect attack he gets. Now granted, the 1 goblin you have will die, but whatever.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah. It's a goblin. I mean, that's what it's there for, really.
Yeah, I actually like this model as well. I think it's appropriately costed.
Good movement, moves quick at an 8.
And moves the terrain pretty quick.
Great stat line. Doesn't he, if you do wounds, he might run away, right?
No, he doesn't. The dragon does.
The dragon does. So I like that better than the dragon. I mean,
yeah, I mean, he's very cheap, I think, for what he does.
You just have to use him tactically right.
Yeah.
I mean, just like anything else in the game, you just have to use them pretty spot on.
He's not so list dependent, which is great. He can kind of fit almost anywhere. He's cheap enough. A healthy amount of points less than the Watcher, so definitely cheap enough. I'd even pick him over a dragon in some instances, just because his stat line is very similar. But the only thing I wouldn't use is the Gaping Maw. So I've heard some people ask me, okay, what do you think about the Gaping Maw attack? I don't think much about it. The thing is, Gaping Maw allows him to eat a man-sized model instead, but he still has to attempt to wound, and if the wound fails, then that's the end of it. But Fate can prevent this, and it's just a single die roll with no might. I just rather would chomp through him with 3 attacks, rending. I mean, that's just me. This was made before the whole brutal power attacks came into play, so there weren't as many options.
Yeah,
but other than that, even if you take that model, that thing away,
he's still really good.
Still,
magic resistance, terror. He's on a big base. I mean, dragon, draconic charge, quartered beast rule, because that's what we're talking about, which is really, really nasty.
Yep.
He's swift, so he moves over rocks with no penalty.
So this is something I think he pretty decent. The last one, the Dweller.
The Dweller.
So the Dweller is actually one of those where I kind of wish he was in an Angmar army.
He would make more sense. Why is he in the more?
They painted him like he's a Balrog. Now it's because of that comment that Gandalf says. He says Frodo to beware that there are older and fouler things than orcs. Now, obviously, he's referring to the
Balrog.
Balrog.
Yeah.
But I guess this is another one. Another creature that dwells in the dark of Moria and whatnot. He's interesting. At first, when he first came out, there was a lot of people who felt like he was just kind of better than the Cave Troll because his stat line looks just superior in ways, and yet it's 5 points less.
He has a better fight.
Yes, he has a better fight. He still has good stats where it counts in all other areas. He's not hurling nearly as much.
He can lead a warband, too.
No, he can't.
There's nothing that says he does.
No, he's not a hero. What? No hero. He's not a hero. This is a warrior model, guys. He can't. He's a monster.
He's a hero.
Yeah,
oh,
he's a
okay.
monster.
Oh, never mind. I thought he was in the heroes.
Nope.
Okay, cool.
So his ability to regain wounds is actually awesome. By having a defensive 5, anyone can hurt this thing. I mean, anybody. So that's where they will go down quickly if you don't keep them kind of safe.
But you keep them supported and things like that, you know, they would actually be really good because they'll all fight most characters.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really good. I like that
Yes.
so far. I mean, but that's the equivalent. We'll compare him to a troll.
That's ultimately the comparison to be made. Cave Troll versus Dweller.
Magic resistance and terror, they both have terror. He has magic resistance, which is better. The regaining the wounds, I think that's a better rule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can wound him more, but if he goes after something weak and easy,
He'll regain it pretty fast.
I would have to play with him.
Yeah, I mean, I've played with them several times. I like them, personally.
3 attacks, 3 wounds.
The thing about them that you don't see on the page itself is their base is bigger. So just be aware of that. It's a much larger base size.
It's the Fell Beast size,
yeah.
or Mordor Troll base size,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
big one.
So just be aware of that his base is bigger. Something that you don't really pay attention to too much, but bigger base sizes is a disadvantage.
Because you're going to put him in a goblin list most likely, so just flank him with some goblins and stuff like that, you'll be good.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, I like him.
All right, so we're going to go ahead into our next question. This one is from Akathon39. He also
What's up, dude?
he wrote quite a hefty post here. He says he, as we know, he mainly plays dwarves, and he talks about some of the teams he takes. But here he says, at which point is it best to switch them for more expensive, better replacements given the concepts that we... Oh, okay, so I guess we're going to have to read through this.
The rest of it you mumbled, so...
Yeah, he says he always includes Thorn, Oakenshield, and Orcrist. Airborne warriors with spears and shields. Then a King's Champion with a load of Kazakh Guard, with about half as many Iron Guard and a few Vault Warden teams, depending on the point sizes. For his third hero, he usually takes Balin with Durin's Axe.
Makes sense.
Then plan in a higher matchups, he replaces him with Dane. Okay, or Dane, then even higher still, have him replaced by Durin.
Yeah.
So at which point is it best to switch them for the more expensive and better replacements given the context I've given you? Okay. So at first sounded like a complicated question, but it's actually pretty simple. Yeah. So go ahead and switch to the dwarves.
Yeah.
Essentially, he's asking, at what point would you make that switch with that list from Balin to Dane to Durin? So the most obvious comparison is Balin to Durin.
Balin is anything small points.
Well, yeah. I mean, he starts from Balin, so he knows this.
So Dane.
So if going off sheer point cost, they're not too much more expensive, though Durin is about double in price. And
Dane.
Yeah, I know.
Dane Ironfoot.
So, but Durin is double in price than Balin.
Right.
The only thing is that for adding more points for Dane, you're getting actually a worse fight value.
A worse fight value, but you get the stand fast.
Yeah, he gets more defense, but a stand fast.
And
more courage, one more faith. So basically a harder to kill leader model. Because here's the thing, obviously with Balin, you're going to get Durin's Axe, which means you can cancel out that whole -1 penalty. You're actually getting a completely different dwarf. Whereas Durin, you're getting a fighter hero. That's what you are getting. He happens to be also just as hard to kill as Dane, but to be honest with you, I don't think there is too much of a point in which I would switch Balin for Dane, because it seems like the purpose needs to be established here. I mean,
I would add Dane to the force. Depends on what you're doing.
well, you won't. It seems like the point sizes. So obviously, let's say 500 points. You take Balin. What point would I take Durin? Well, with the one you've said, you're saying Thorin Oakenshield with a retinue of warband of airborne warriors,
That's
and then
nasty.
a King's Champion with Kazakh Guard and some Iron Guard and Vault Warden teams. I mean, you're already talking about with just them alone is like a 400 or 500 point investment.
He's
So
probably playing Ballin at 500 points.
yeah. So 500-600, yeah. So I mean, given what you're saying, you can't switch out for Durin until you hit like the 700 point range.
Yeah, I would say Dane at over 500 to like about 700. And then if I wanted to switch out for Doran, I would do that at 700 points or more. That's how I would look at that.
The only thing I would say to this, because I'm
I
gonna
would keep Ballin in though the whole time until I switched out for Doran.
there is the idea of just keeping Balin in. I think he'll be a bit hard because you're probably going to want another warband. Right now, you only have 2 warbands with a bunch of really expensive elite troops.
Yeah.
So you're going to want another warband. By the time you're ready to take Durin, you're going to want another warband. So in my opinion, I would actually skip the step of maybe Dane, maybe just go right to Durin. If you're going to go to Durin, just go right to him and pick a whole warband of warriors. I think having Balin plus Dane, I know Walker, you say you would do both of those, but I think that combination, I mean, I can't say the points value, but look at that in combo. And then add in almost 100 points or probably more worth of basic warriors in a warband.
Yeah.
You can't do it. So,
This is Akathon, right?
yes.
So, dude, let us know what you're doing this list for. That'll help us more. So, are you going to bring this to like the Nova or another tournament? And if it's another tournament or just a casual playing with your friends, yeah, let us know that. That'll help us out some more with giving you a more definitive answer. But like I said, I would do Ballin up, and I'd probably play with Ballin all the way up until I actually put in Durin.
And that's another thing. Yeah, I've skipped Dane. I really think you should just skip him out completely. And just, yeah, you play Durin when you get to 700 plus. And then that's when you would bring him in. Otherwise, I don't care much for Dane. I don't see what the achievement is because you're doing better with Balin.
Yeah, Ballin is just with the axe. He's just so good.
Oh, well, you have 3 attacks with Dane, so that's why I think the fighter hero aspect. Yeah, I'm still like, I still love the fight 6
but
from
you get
Balin.
a plus 1 to wound. Which
Oh,
is
they
so
all get
awesome.
+1 to win. They all get it because of Durin's axe.
Yeah, he gets Durin's
He
axe.
gets +1. No, he uses a different axe, but they all get +1 to win.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, so 700 plus, and if you're trying to make some kind of jump, like casual jumps, then at 500-600, you add 100 more points. Let's say you got Balin in there, you add 100 more points, and he says he takes Balin with Durin's axe. Yeah, so he doesn't say he has any warband with him. He's just saying he's taking him.
Yeah, he's
so
just listing out
at
the
100
heroes.
more points, at 600 more points, then you can take the upgrade to Dane. So 600 is where I'd do it, because then that gives you an extra 100 points to work with.
Bless you.
Sorry about that. So the next question here from Dylan O'Connell. He says, "Good day, guys." He has a couple of questions.
He really says good day.
Yep, he says good day. So
He's probably Australian.
So he asks, what do you think is the single rarest model that was officially released, i.e. Halbarad with the horn and banner, shades, Faramir, Captain of Ithilien, etc. Also, he's looking to get a group of his mates together, well, I guess that confirms the Australian, for a Battle Companies League. Any tips or hints on getting started? Do you know of any way to make it so that when you win, you capture a piece of land like 40k planetary empires? Thanks.
So, okay, which one do we want to answer
All
first?
right, well, let's start with the first question. The rarest model. I'm going to go, that one's very easy for me, hands down. Frodo, Invisible Frodo.
I was going to say the same thing. Invisible Frodo. They came out with a limited model of him, and he is actually invisible.
Yeah, he's like, well, you see through. Yeah.
It's just clear plastic.
That would have been pretty awesome. Yeah, look at our base. It's Invisible Frodo on top.
They actually did do a base, too. They
Okay.
did do a base of Invisible Frodo. It just had 2 footprints in it. It was just it was sold in a blister pack, in a clam pack, and it had the base on it, and it was Invisible Frodo too.
They probably sold it for $40.
No, it was like $5 for
$5.
I mean, like it was just a piece of pewter base. It was just a footprint, so that one's pretty.
Yeah.
That one's rare.
Extremely. Yeah.
He didn't even know about
I
it.
didn't, yeah, that's how rare it is. I didn't even have a clue. Yeah, I'd say Invisible Frodo is probably the most rare.
Yeah,
Some of the ones you've named, Halbarad, I think is fairly rare. I haven't seen too much of him. I'd actually say a rare model still, probably Ruffians and Wild Men of Duneland. I mean, I really haven't seen those models almost ever on eBay. It's really hard to get a hold of them, and I think it's because they sold so poorly when they existed.
Yeah.
Purely, rules, no one played them because rules-wise there was no reason to.
Until The Hobbit came.
Until The Hobbit came around, but by then it was too late because they stopped producing them.
Exactly.
So
Cool. Let's go to his next question.
Oh, you just running it? All right. Well.
He has like 3 questions. So
No, all right, fair enough. He says for his next, he's looking to get a group of his, the battle companies.
Okay, so I was just excited about this. This is why I want to get to it.
Yeah.
So the battle companies, you play 40K, man, and you know how they're the map-based campaign. Just use those rules.
What are those rules?
It's really, really simple. It's just a map-based campaign, and you fight over territories and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Take the territory.
So you take the territories and take the warband rules off of the DCHL website, which is also on the GBHL, because we stole it from them.
The warband rules?
Yeah. If you wanted to do warband.
Oh, well, yeah, we have a lot of battle company stuff on there. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
He's talking about 2 separate things. Doing battle companies and then a map-based campaign along with it.
Okay.
So do the battle companies, those will be your rules for building up your force and getting condensed and gaining experience and things like that. And then you can incorporate the rules from your map-based campaign from 40K. You can steal it pretty much just from that and just reread the rules, make sure they all work in Lord of the Rings, maybe change a few out if they don't all work. I don't have those rules in front of me, but yeah, it'll work just pretty much straight out of the box. We actually use the objective cards from 40K when we're playing like domination and things like that. We have our own scenario, and it works awesome stealing things. Tried and Treachery from Fantasy, which is a multiplayer battle.
Are these battle companies? These aren't battle companies. Right?
These are different
Oh,
rule
you're just
sets
giving
from other
samples.
systems that we're creating. Yeah, just look it over. It'll be good. All right, I think I've gone on enough.
No, I mean, the only thing I'd say about battle company, well, yes, how do you get this started? So, I've actually gotten several Hobbit leagues started up, quite a few of them where I raised actually so many players that the 40K players and the fantasy players couldn't even get a game in. They actually had to have a rule where
They were complaining.
yeah, they were like, where are all these hobby players coming from? And I've done this multiple times in multiple different stores. What you'll often find is like a lot of players actually have Lord of the Rings. The reason people don't play the game is because people don't play the game.
Nobody else is playing.
Yeah, and that's literally it. And so if you're going to do battle companies, now I don't know how many you have, but this is going to take a bit of dedication. You guys need to go to that Games Workshop every weekend. Like all weekend long.
And no, it doesn't have to be all weekend.
It's like at least once or twice.
Once a day, like once a week.
Well, it depends on how fast you want to do it, all right?
Sure.
So I managed to generate enough players for an escalation league of, in fact, we went over in 3 days, all right? And it's pretty much because I came there every single day. Me and Alex, another player that you guys recognize from our videos, or might recognize from earlier videos, me and him came to Games Workshop. We played every day on weekends, without fail. We came every day. And it took us maybe like 3 weeks. And we instantly had like 20 players, like just ready to play in game. And I mean, as soon as you start doing that, you'll have tons of players. So let's say you only have 4 guys right now, and you're trying to do battle companies, you want to get it started. Well, first off, play with a play-tested set of rules if you're going to get more than that. How many players? I guess maybe 6. If you're going to do like a new battle companies thing. But if you already have an established league, or I'm sorry, if you're trying to establish some kind of group, a really big group together, then yeah, just once a weekend I guess is fine, but just come on a repeated day. And don't go on like a Tuesday or a Thursday. go on a day where everyone's there to see you playing the game. That's the biggest thing.
Saturday or Friday night.
Biggest mistake I've seen a lot of gaming groups make for The Hobbit is they're like, yeah, we meet up on Mondays. I'm like, why? No one's there.
No one's there besides you on Mondays.
So, and sometimes they may say, well, that's the point. We don't want anyone else to be there because we like
Then you're not going to have anybody new. Even now, since we've been getting ready for Nova, we've been playing consistently every Friday at our store in Springfield. And we've
asked quite a few new players.
3 new players.
Just last weekend alone, yeah. I mean,
brand new, bought their models last week and going to play, I think they're going to try to play in Nova. So that's like 3 players just because we played. So it's really cool.
That's what I would say is just my tip on that is just to get in there and play the game.
Be enthusiastic about it, show others how to play. Hey, dude, come over and play with this model too. Join me. Yeah, do all that stuff. It's really good. That's how you generate.
Just let us know if you have any more questions, especially particularly in the Battle Companies League itself. Because you only asked how to get started, which is that, and how to play it so that when you win, you capture land. His advice, use the already existing planetary stuff.
Yep.
My only advice on that is also my same advice for map-based campaigns, just as a really quick thing. Make sure there's progress. Okay, do not have it where you're fighting over a single territory every time. You need to take the territory every single time you play a match. Something needs to shift on the map if you're doing a map-based thing.
Yeah,
you need to constantly show progress. And
4 weeks.
Yeah. And
4 weeks
number
long.
2, yes, don't make it too long. If it lasts any longer than a month, maybe 2 is the absolute stretching it. Any longer than that, your players will lose interest. Guaranteed.
Life interferes.
Life will interfere. Problems will occur. Yep.
Children.
Do not make it longer than that. So it needs to be quick. Third thing, do not do it too much points based because the problem is or at least keep it even despite the players losing. If you get toward the end of the game and what you're doing it is, well, I have all this experience and all these men and stuff because I'm winning, and then the other players don't have anything in there because they're losing, well, then those players are just going to quit. They're just going to give up. They're going to be like, well, there's no point. We can't take this back. So oftentimes, I often said that they should have a fixed rate of how many units. That was just an idea, but you're going to have to think of one of your own. I mean, that's the way I would do it. Hey, we get 700 points regardless. Battle companies can work in different ways.
You know, for a summary, this is really long.
It is, but there's a lot. So we'll get to the next question. We'll go to the
email us with detailed questions if you have them, or just put it in the comments. We'll answer it.
All right.
He doesn't know how to summarize. Jeez.
So for our next question from Paulo, it says, hey guys, about throwing spears, are they one-time use, or can a model that has them throw one every turn? Thanks. So
yes.
Yeah.
You can throw it every turn.
Yeah, you can throw it. Actually, interestingly, that you asked this question. This rule used to be one-time use.
Yep.
But that was like in second edition.
Second edition.
Well, 2 towers. I consider it second edition.
Yeah, 2 towers. Why don't you say 2 towers?
Instead
of Fellowship of the Ring.
So yeah, they can throw it every turn.
Yeah.
One good riddance. Our next guy says he hope he plays against the Lake Town Army. So
actually, that army is a lot. It's very deceiving on how strong it is.
Yes. And this is just a quick thing. This is not even a question, but I mean, basically, yeah. That Lake Town Army is actually pretty tough. It's not actually as easy as it looks.
No.
So definitely. If you come to Nova, which I think actually one good riddance you said you were actually, then yeah, Nova you will play against him because even in casual matches you can play against that Lake Town Army.
Yep.
And hey, you can even play it on Lake Town. So there you go.
We do have Lake Town. We can
Lake
do that.
Town at Nova. So next question, Brad thy hipster. Now this one's actually an interesting question because I didn't understand it. It says reaction to Hello Chicken Nugget. Go. Do you know what Hello Chicken Nugget is?
Hi, Chicken Nugget.
Yeah, we don't know what you're talking about. So
all right.
Clarify. So
where are you from?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I even looked it up. I'm like, what is Hello Chicken?
You Googled it?
No, I was curious. I'm like, what is he talking about? I still don't know what you're talking about.
I've never heard it before.
Yeah. So anyway, next question.
You must be one of those young kids.
Probably.
Other slang words nowadays.
From Clint Whitney, he says, "Hey guys, I'm planning on going to Nova.
Awesome.
Is it in a hotel or a convention center?
Convention center.
And do you recommend getting there by Thursday the 3rd?" So, to answer the questions that Walker's already answered.
Okay, moving on. Let's go to Thursday the 3rd.
Yeah, it's in a hotel.
It's
It's actually it's a hotel basically.
Yeah.
Basically Nova is in a massive hotel. It technically has a convention center in it, and so
Right.
that's why it's kind of both. However,
Most
if
convention centers have hotels with them.
yeah, exactly. So it's both. The thing about it is Nova has discounted hotel rooms in the hotel that it's at. So on Nova's site, you can actually see a section where it says book hotel now. It will give you discounted rates. It's like $90 a night.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's very good because it's a Hyatt Regency.
Yeah.
It's not a slouch hotel.
It's in
So-
downtown Arlington, which is a really, really
It's
nice
yeah,
area.
Crystal City.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very nice area. Right access to the metro. So if you want to explore the city, it's so easy to get around.
Yeah, you can go downtown to the
yeah.
National Mall and stuff like that if you've never been to DC.
Yeah.
I would definitely say coming a day early. That way you could sightsee a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, hey, you think we should go somewhere and like, hey everybody, we're gonna be here for dinner. There's Buffalo Wild Wings right there. I'm gonna say it right now. Thursday night, Buffalo Wild Wings. Everybody that wants to come in early, I will be there. My wife loves Buffalo Wild Wings, so it's not hard to convince her to go there.
We actually have gotten several things where we're going to go out for drinks and such like that. It's definitely going to be an interesting time. Yeah, a hotel. Should you get there on the 3rd? I think so. We have 2 events on the 3rd. It's our 2 kind of fun events, which is Chaos and Arda and the Arena, which will be played throughout the entire weekend. But those ones are the only ones that actually have prizes and count toward the prizes. But yeah, I'd recommend getting there by Thursday. If you can make it on a Thursday and you can,
Because it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, exactly.
So even if you want to come Wednesday night.
Yeah, I actually think, and also just so you guys
Thursday
know,
might be too busy.
all of my events are really spaced out. So you have plenty of time for touristy stuff and going out and doing your own thing.
Or seeing the other game systems out there. They'll
Yeah.
War Machine, 40K,
Yeah,
Fantasy,
everything.
X-Wing, Armada. The list
Yeah.
goes on and on.
Yeah, if you look at the website.
Blood Bowl?
They have
Blood
like
Bowl.
20 different games. going
Yeah.
on. So yeah, absolutely.
We just want to be packed.
And I guess last point on that, if you get there on a Thursday, we can talk to you more. We can kind of introduce you more because I'm going to tell you now, Saturday,
Oh god, that's
we're not
crazy.
talking to anybody. I mean, we got a tournament to run and there's
Right.
a lot going on. So if you want to just hang out and chill and stuff like that, Thursday is your best bet.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll go on to our second to last question. Mox, not name, he says, "Hey guys, so the reason I think the distances measured from base to base is the entry in the Mumaks profile." So before I begin with this question,
Okay.
yeah.
I already looked this up.
Yeah, backpedal a bit. For those of you guys who don't know, this person made the claim that when you measure, all right, so a banner on a Howdah, we ruled gives the Mummak a banner bonus, since the Mummak doesn't give himself one. And the
Right.
reason we said that is because it's obviously 3 inches from model to model, and that's how we measure. Now he's saying, he uses his argument for why it would be base to base, not model to model.
Does
So-
he give a page on there?
No, it's a very quick argument.
Okay, go ahead, read it to me.
He says, if you shoot the Howdah or the people on it with a siege weapon and it strays, is that the right word? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Then you can always target it to the Mummak and vice versa, even though its base is more than 6 inches away. And then he gets to a second question. So before we get to a second question.
So I looked up this rule for the banners, and the banner actually says to model. It doesn't actually state to the base.
Yeah, the base is part of the model.
And then I actually looked up what it considers the base, and the only part that it ever talks about the base specifically is the movement phase, measuring consistently from the same point on the base to the base. So the banner just has to reach to the model itself. And that was my interpretation of it. If I had my rule book here, I could tell you the page numbers. But basically, it's like page 3 that talks about what is a model, and then which also talks about the movement, and then I think it's page 72 that talks about the banner specifically, if I remember right.
Also, keep in mind, your argument here is actually kind of favoring what we're saying. You're saying when you fire a siege weapon, you can always target the mummak even though its base is more than 6 inches away. So that would suggest that you can target the mummak itself, hence the model. You're saying it's 6 inches away from the guys on top, and you would be correct.
Yeah.
And the reason you can do that is because the siege weapon targets models, not bases. The thing is, when you measure a radius effect, generally that's always horizontally. It's very rare that it's vertical, but it is in this case. So, and yeah, you can still target the mummak itself.
The banner just would not reach to any guys on the ground because they're too far away, because the mummak's like 6 inches tall, right?
Yeah, he's like 5, well, it depends on what you're talking about, for the how to 5, 6, and 7, and 8.
Yeah.
Anyway, so his second thing, he says, since you forgot my actual question, here comes another one. And just so you know, if you repost your last question, I don't know how we forgot the
I was looking for his question. I thought we answered it, but
yeah,
I'm sorry that we missed it, man.
So he asked, what is your least favorite model aesthetically? So Walker's the painter and the hobbyist, the big time hobbyist here. So what do you think?
Least favorite model aesthetically. Do you know which one? It's not even a hero choice. It's the Ents that they made.
The like stick figure Ents?
Yeah, they just look horrible compared to like Treebeard. I thought they should have done something like Treebeard. Like Treebeard's intense and has lots of detail in them. Those Ents look horrible.
Yeah, they do lack a lot of detail.
I would steal the Ents from Fantasy Wood Elf Army and do some of that.
Yeah, they were actually enjoyable. I mean, they will look a little fantasy-esque.
That's
with all
fine.
the feathers. I guess
They
for
don't have
me,
feathers in them.
or whatever, the little flare they
Have a tree branch. Those are tree branches.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
they're Ents. They have trees growing out
I
of
swear
them.
they're like colorful for a reason.
No, they just paint. Some of them they painted up weird because they did lighting effect on all the runes because some of them have rocks in them and things like that. Anyways,
So as far as me, I know there are a couple hero models that I didn't like. Elrond's new White Council pose, where he's often described as looking like a monkey ninja. I haven't seen the model in person, but on the box he's like hunched over and like.
yeah, he's like slashing.
Yeah, it's like he's
sword out.
I understand the.
I like it.
point
I
of
like
this
it.
pose.
It's certain angles. It doesn't look that good.
Yeah, sometimes it tricks you because like there's one where Gandalf is hunched over, and I didn't like that one either until I saw the model in person. It's not that bad actually. I liked the model. One I can say I don't like that they have the same pose over and over again.
That's any warrior model.
Yeah.
Almost all of them are all the same pose.
Wow. Oh, I'm gonna try to think because there are models I know for a fact I'm like, why did they choose that? I'm trying to, maybe if I flip through this book really fast, and this will just be a really quick thing. There's not too many. I guess I could go with some Aragorn poses. There are some that I don't like.
There's enough Aragorn poses though, but
Yeah,
Aragorn has like
dozens
10
of
models
poses.
himself.
Yeah, you know what? I don't like the Woses too much. I think the Woses looking a little too pygmy warriorish. I think they kind of look.
Nobody plays with them anyways. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Well, actually, you might see it.
That'd be cool. Bring an end army and put some.
Oh,
Woses
you know
in
what?
support.
Here's one I have to say.
The
I
Watcher.
am not a fan of the Watcher too much. Now, I understand they wanted to make it, okay, he has to go on land. But honestly, I was perfectly okay if they had just made it a face. I mean, he just breaks out anyway.
You mean like your conversion?
Yeah, I made a conversion of it, which exactly looks like what you see from, what's his
The
name?
movie.
Yeah, it looks like the movie. But I did it from a white dwarf, which you can find on our website.
It just had the tentacles and then just a big face.
The face
So
is
it was
like
kinda cool.
slamming out of the ground, so it's like I put rubble on the sides. But I mean, other than that, not too many models that I hate aesthetically, but there are some hero options where I'm just kind of like, really,
Yeah.
guys? I'm trying to think of them now off the top of my head, and it's a little difficult. I might go ahead and re-answer this in the next video if I ever think of something that I didn't think of here. So, but yeah, go ahead and ask your last question that you did, that we ignored by accident. So let's go ahead and move on to the last question for today's video. It's from Jeremy Smith, and he asks, what models are banned at Nova? And
We don't have any models that are banned
Nope.
at Nova.
no models that are banned at Nova. You can bring everything. Now, some people are going to be like, oh, it's broken and, crazy. No, actually, we've really done a lot of playtesting, and we don't find any models to be truly broken or overpowered in this game. We made a little bit of a limitation. So, like, for instance, you can only ally once.
Yeah.
And when you do ally, whatever hero you bring has to take a full warband. Now, granted, if they're independent, they don't take anything. But if they aren't, like, say, Alfred, well, some people were like, oh, I have 20 points left, I'm going to throw an Alfred. Well, you can't. You got to bring in a full warband, so he will cost you an investment, into your list. So, and you can only ally once, so that kind of takes away a lot of it. Same with, like, the Shade. You're not just picking the Shade. You got to throw in a lot of orcs with him, and there's a lot of other options I can name. So that kind of breaks that. Then you have models like Tom Bombadil. Honestly, I think Tom Bombadil is not really as powerful as many.
I haven't seen anybody played with Tom Bombadil.
I have. I've played with him and played against him many times.
Oh, I've played against him. I just haven't seen anybody playing with him in a long time. That's all.
Yeah, he's one of those models that, just like the Wood Elf Rangers, scary when you see the rules, but when you actually see it in practice, you just take 3 models and kind of surround him. And, like, I know you can't charge him, but you kind of surround him.
You can take Wanderer's Wild for free, right?
Yeah, you can just throw them in.
So you can take Tom Bombadil, but he is expensive.
Yeah,
it's not cheap.
He's going to be expensive. He doesn't do much, and he's easy to lock down. Remember, all Tom can do is push him away 1 inch. So you can really effectively make him only move like 1 inch every turn for the rest of the game, and his spell's only 3 inches. So you can kind of keep him out of the action if you really maneuver it right. Other than that, he doesn't do too much that's crazy. He is very annoying because you can't kill him, but other than that, I'm really not too into it.
Because there's only 2 models in the game that have question marks for their stats. It's Tom Bombadil and Goldberry.
Yeah. And, I mean, as far as anything like the arena or even some of our game matches, Tom Bombadil and Goldberry actually do not count toward your force. So
they can't kill things, though. Either.
Yeah, they can't kill anything, but they also can't be killed. So, like in the arena, let's say, where you have to fight to the last man, it's like this match to the death. He can't die, but he's not ever considered on the field. So if you lost everyone but him, then you just lose. So, and
he's
lastly,
a spirit too.
Yeah, but Galadriel can't banish.
No, because he doesn't have any wounds, but you could try.
Last thing about that, Goblin. So this is a model that has been banned from the GBHL tournaments, the first ever to be banned. We have no intention of banning him. The reason why is because of the ruling in his wording. He can only be included in your force, assuming your opponent has a ring bearer. Now, we're taking it pretty much by its literal definition. So if you include him in your list, you can't take him out. At Nova, you cannot remove him from your list under any circumstance. You play whatever it is. And technically, he's legal. However, if your opponent does not have a ring bearer, then you included him illegally. Hence, your list is illegal, which means you are disqualified from that match. You cannot win at any points. So you can feel free to bring him, and when you guys submit your list, I will advise you, if you choose to include Gollum in your list, please keep in mind that it will keep disqualifying you every time you don't fight a ring bearer.
Unless you're taking Gollum from the new Hobbit, which he's a points cost and he's part of
that's different. I'm strictly talking about 0 point Gollum from Mordor.
Yeah.
And some people ask us, and in fact Jeremy asked us, why is it that we just don't say, oh, he's there if there's a ring bearer, but if he's not, take him out. Well, because then every single
it works.
Well, every evil list would include him.
That had Mordor, yeah.
Yeah, you just be like, Gollum, just take the guy. And the worst part is he can even lead a warband.
This guy.
Yeah. So, no, it'd be silly. I am forcing it. It will stay in your list. And also, we'd have other problems too, where other players would be like, well, if they can take Gollum out their list, why can't I take out Denethor when I see a Ringwraith on the field? So I'm just I'm not dealing with that. You keep him in your list, and if he is on the field when a ring bearer is not in play, you have an illegal list. So that's how that is. So we don't have any intention of banning him. If you're lucky enough to fight all 5 rounds, with ring bearers in the list.
I can tell you, I do not
Congrats.
have ring bearers. So if you ever fight me and you have Gollum, you're in trouble.
Most lists
and
don't
I
have a
win.
ring bearer.
No, most lists don't.
So
Unless everybody takes Sauron. All right, everybody has to take Sauron now. With the ring. That way everybody else can play with Gollum.
There you go. So there actually is a player in our league who actually is coming to Nova with a Sauron in his list. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, there is that. So anyway, that's all we have for today, guys. So definitely feel free to follow us on our Facebook page, and also check out our website. If you guys need anything, we have tons and tons of content on DCHobbitLeague.com, and we also have conversion pictures and what's going on in Nova and different FAQs and stuff. So yeah, check that out. I think you guys will be very happy. We keep an archive of everything you find on the One Ring. So anyway, you got anything further going?
Email. You can email us too.
Yes, email us questions if you want.
DCHLHobbit.
DC Hobby League.
DCHobbitLeague at gmail.com.
Yes. All right. Well, till next time. See you guys later.
Later, guys.